Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be doing a video about Palantir stock. Before I start the video, guys, please make sure to leave a like on the video below, subscribe to the channel for more awesome content, join the family, guys. Let's go on our investor journey together. Today we're going to be talking about Palantir stock. Is Palantir Technologies a good buy? $22.95. What does the company actually do? And where do I actually see the stock going in the future? So let's dive in. Let's talk about the stock. I just want everybody to know before I start the video, everything I say in my videos is not financial advice. It's just my personal opinion. So with that being said, let's get started with the video. So we should start by answering the question, what is Palantir? What does the company actually do? So Palantir is a company that basically sells software to governments to help them observe, collect, and act upon data. So why is this important? Obviously, the governments always are switching out technology. Obviously, they need to have the best technology. So on paper, Palantir already looks like a very good company. We do have news. It's like people would just say, okay, it's just an enterprise software company, stuff like that. Like doesn't really have true meaning. But what Palantir actually offers as a service and their overall technology is actually pretty good and something that's definitely going to be around for a very long time. Selling softwares to the government, which is never going to go away, is definitely a very good business model. Now, if we take a look together at Palantir's one-year stock altogether, this thing IPO'd September 30 of 2020, so fairly recent company, up 129%, and obviously seeing an all-time high here of about $35 to about $40. Basically, that's been its all-time high, and now it's basically fallen 50% of its overall stock value, and a lot of people are kind of asking the question, is Palantir stock a good buy, $22.95? Do you think that Palantir Technologies will revisit its all-time highs? For me personally, I do think that Palantir Technologies is a very good buy at $22.95, but I also do think that the stock is more of a long-term pick rather than a short-term pick. As you guys can see, a lot of tech has been rallying, and a lot of also like big-time ETFs like SPY just hit 4,000, which is a huge milestone, while Palantir Technologies continues to sink. Taking a look at the 1-month chart altogether, down about 8%, and taking a look at the 3-month chart, it's down 4%, and taking a look at the 1-week chart, it's still up about 1%, but it's not really following the S&P kind of track, right? A lot of tech has been rallying. The S&P has been rallying. EV had a little bit of a rally, while Palantir Technologies is still kind of sitting in the bottom. But I do want people to know that if you are holding Palantir Technologies, it's actually not a bad stock to hold because the company itself could be onto something big. But like I said, I want to reiterate that Palantir Technologies is more of a long-term hold. Technology is never going to go away, and as it continues to advance, I could see Palantir Technologies being a $100 stock in the next couple of years without a doubt. Technology is one of the most powerful, and as you guys can see, tech in itself has seen a huge rally, and I could see the same with Palantir Technologies as an overall company. Now, the reason I also think that Palantir Technologies is a very good buy at these levels is because if you take a look at what analysts have said about the overall stock, there's a lot of people who are super, super bullish on what they actually have to offer. You know what I mean? So people in itself, they're putting Palantir Technologies in kind of a longer term portfolio. As technology continues to advance, I think Palantir Technologies could be onto something pretty big. So where do I think Palantir Technologies is going to head by the end of the year? Obviously, I do think Palantir Technologies is going to revisit its all-time highs. The reason I say this is because, we did have a small market correction, and the market conditions are very unstable right now. It's very volatile. Stocks are going up, down, up, down. Specific sectors will rally while other sectors continue to lose. So, people who are buying Palantir stock, they bought it at $35, $30. My personal advice, without it being advice in the sense, is to buy the dip on the stock because, like I said, what they're actually onto could be actually huge in the future. But when it comes to investing these days, people or so, they don't really like the long-term strategy when it comes to investing, even though it is probably the best way to kind of go, But when you take a look at Palantir, it's an analytics business. It's a good supply chain company. Like I said, they offer technology to government services, and what the company actually offers could be onto something big, which is why I think Palantir Technologies could actually hit $100 in the next couple of years. People who are putting this in their portfolio, like a lot of big-time investors who are bullish on Palantir Technologies are putting it in its portfolio for the long term, right? They're not putting it for the short term. And like I said, going back to the whole thing, people these days, they want such a short-term gain so quickly, but they forget why they're invested in the company in the first place. If you do your due diligence on Palantir Technologies and you actually are bullish about the company, then you could definitely see that this company sitting at $22.95 is an absolute steal, and what the overall potential of this company could actually be. So like I said, selling software to government, customers was a miserable business. It's a miserable business, it's boring and some people don't really like it. But like I said, they could be onto something because government security is probably one of the biggest things that people do take seriously. And if you guys take a look at it from an investment standpoint, this is going to be beneficiary to people who are invested in the stock super early. Now, I'm not saying just because it's a long-term hold that the stock is not going to continue to sink until it actually does something. No, I'm not saying that at all, but it's just one of those stocks that these stocks are going to be higher term value plays in the long term, right? So I'm not saying that the stock is not going to rally over the year. Me personally, I think Palantir Technologies will hit $70 to $75 by the end of the year. Obviously, that's my personal price prediction. It's not financial advice, and it's not something that, people should just take with a grain of salt. But seeing how the company was trading at around $40 to $50 and then it slowly started to sink, overall market conditions in itself, I do think that with Palantir as a company and what they actually have to offer, this business could actually be pretty big in the future. And that's what people have to be. Investing is always a long-term game. I don't want people to be discouraged. I don't want people to be like, okay, I want to buy Palantir because I want it to go up as soon as possible. The company in itself, like I said, there's a lot of people who are bullish on it. There's a lot of people who do see the high term value. And for me, I also see the high term value, but I also know that I'm not expecting anything from Palantir as a company for at least a couple of years, but people are projecting the company to do pretty well. They're expecting billions in revenues in the next couple of years, which means it's already putting the stock in a very good position. But with like a lot of stocks these days, a lot of it is just patience. A lot of people who bought Tesla back in 2010 when it was $7 a share, when it went public on the stock market, if you sunk $1,000 into that, you'd probably have well worth more than your investment by this point. We all know how Tesla went on a historic run, but I'm not saying Palantir is going to go on this historic run. But what I am saying is people who see the long-term value in plays are always going to be the most valuable traders. They're always going to be the most profitable because you're never going to be able to time the market. Like I said, there's a lot of companies right now that are sinking who have good fundamentals, who have good values, and they offer a very good product. Take, for example, like NIO or Tesla. They were at their all-time highs. The companies are still doing very, very good. Their earnings are still very, very good, but the stocks continue to sink. Why? It's just because due to certain market conditions, sometimes people like to rotate out of stocks and then they'll rotate back in. But I do see a bright future for Palantir. I do think the stock is a good buy at $22.95. And I do think that the stock will hit $75 by the end of the year. If you guys have done your due diligence, then you guys can know that, Palantir stock as an overall company is probably a really good investment right now. With that being said, guys, that's all I really have to say about the video. Let me know down in the comment section below, guys, what you think of Palantir Technologies. Do you guys think Palantir stock is a good buy at $22.95? If you guys own Palantir stock, how many shares do you guys own and what's your average? I'm always very curious to know.